I see you, and I'm hoping you can see me. 3, 2, 1 on the other machine. So, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Gail Hanlon, and this is Everything Homeschool. Hope you can stay. Okay, no problem. I'm going live in 13 seconds. We'll talk later. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am trying to do a sound check. If you can hear me, please let me know.
I have a couple of,
oh,
that's
that's
going
going
to
to
be,
be double dipping there. So I am using my AirPod. So if you can't hear me, please tell me. I'm trying to check up on LinkedIn, see if we are good. It says I am live, but then when I go to it, it says it's still waiting for broadcast. So we shall see. I'm going to just check on another. Thank you for putting up with me and this thing that we have to share and take care of every time we go live. There we go. I can hear that one. Woohoo! Okay. So Facebook is live. Yes. And let's see if it's live on my home page, because that's another place that you can find me. And here we go. Yes, I'm live there too. Yes, so it's just YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn that I'm not 100% on, but we'll figure that out because you're here and you matter. And so we'll get started. Today we're going to be talking about, yes, what? Key for the car? It should be, okay, here it is. Children taking my car. That's usual. Okay, so today we are talking about how do I know learning is taking place? How do I know? So I want to ask you a question. You have kids, otherwise you're not here. If you're here and you don't have kids, this is perfect because then you'll know what to expect. So you have kids. How do you know that they can walk? When they were born, they couldn't. Took them a while. How do you know that they can walk? Let's see some great answers in the comments here. Oh, I have to turn on my comments. Oh no. Okay, there's one and there's two. If you would like to be a guest on the show right now to have a conversation, please don't hesitate to click the link in the description in the um, the description for the live. So, because it's right there, and you can be a part of this, and you can pitch me hard questions, or you can just come and give your opinions because this is a chat. I love for it to be interactive. So, how do you know your children can walk? How do you know they learned how to walk? Well, you observe them, right? You saw them through the whole process. You saw them rolling over. You saw them learning how to crawl. You saw them learning how to pull themselves up onto whatever there was to hold on to. Did you tell them they should do that? Did you teach them how to walk? Or did you just encourage and I've done this so many times on the show, your arms are open, your face is smiling, you are encouraging them. You can do this. Good job. But you never told them they had to do it. You never gave them a curriculum, an outline. Okay, first you do this, second you do that. You don't need to do that, right? So they learned by observation. They learned by doing. They had innate motivation that was there already before. How do you know your children can speak? How do you know they learned how to speak? Another simple question, right? You know because they do unceasingly, unendingly. Chatter, 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 chatter. Why is the sky blue? Why is this there? Why can't I do that? They learned how to speak. They learned a language. And you didn't sit them down when they were, or you didn't put them in their little bassinet with headphones on to learn a new language. They listened. They observed you. They observed those people around them. Those people who have kids who say a bad word and they think it's cute. It's like, yes, they learned it from somebody in their vicinity because they don't pick up words or phrases that aren't in their environment. So, how do kids learn? We do that in some other shows. So, how do we know they've learned? Well, the first one, I actually wrote this out on the thing, and if I mirror it, it's not going to work, so I'm going to mirror it back. We observe. Chalkboard, yay. They observe, and we observe them. It's a mutual thing that we do together in community, in connection. So we observe what they do. So this is how self-directed learning, when a homeschooler or an unschooler, when children are picking and deciding what they want to do themselves without being told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, are they playing Lego? Are they coloring? Are they doing handstands? Are they, whatever it is they're doing, it matters and it has value. And your observations are how you know they can do it. How do teachers grade kids and mark them and give you those report cards. They spend time with your children. Well, not your children per se. They spend time with the children. They observe them. The difference is compulsion. So instead of observing them having been given specific stuff that they have to do, we as unschoolers observe them doing things that they want to do. And it may be academic things. I had a very academic older child. She wasn't happy unless it was academic enough. So we observe the same way that teachers in the system observe. And how then do they assess? Well, let's look at the real meaning of assessment. And I want to share this article with you. If it's you, then you assess them because you're beside them. You're sitting beside them. Now, there have been situations that I have seen and experienced where parents thought, oh, I'm homeschooling. I bought this amazing, very expensive curriculum. I sat my kids in front of it and I went off and did what I had to do, expecting them to do what they were supposed to do. And they didn't. So homeschooling didn't work for us. And they gave up. You are not in this process on your own. It takes observing, being observed, interaction, relationship, and trust. And in the case of doing something for the first time, acceptance, acknowledgement, and appreciation. Correction without connection is meaningless. Before you try to correct anything, allow the natural process to happen. Allow them to figure out, hey, that didn't work. I need to do it a different way. If we jump in and do the next part for them just to show them, they're not allowed to learn their own brain to figure it out. Let them struggle with it for a little while or a long while. I had a student the other day who wanted to start a key collection. I have a key collection. I said, of course I'll give you a key. You can have one of my keys to start your key collection. Notifications off. But I said, you're going to have to get the key off the key ring in order to have it. And it took her, I described how the keys go on, but I didn't have to. I could have just given it to her and let her figure it out herself. But she did end up figuring it out, and it was hard because it was a really tight key ring. But after about a half an hour, she managed to get that key off the key ring. And she was so delighted. She didn't think she could do it. She kept trying to hand it back to me. Do it for me, do it for me. Nope, not doing it for you. You can do it. What does that do for a child, for anybody who's learning. It shows you trust them that they can do it. So you're sharing the understanding of trust and having confidence in them so they can have confidence in themselves. When kids are in school, they're told what to do, when to do, how to do it. All the decisions about what they were going to learn have already been decided for them. They didn't have to decide what they learned. They didn't have to decide how they were going to learn it. But real learning is going through all those processes. So we know now assessment comes from the Latin assidere, which means to sit beside. Not in another room or on the phone or, you know, busy somewhere else, but with our children. Not necessarily doing with them, but observing them. So my favorite explanation of this is Birute Galdikas. If you are not familiar with Birute Galdikas, she is an anthropologist. And I'm just going to go straight to the website here, if I can find it. There it is. Birute Galdikas is a phenomenal scientist and anthropologist. I'm going to That's one of the first things that I explain to families is that they need to observe their children and then they'll know. Now, when somebody else says, how does your child read or write or do all those other things that people would expect? You can say yes, you know they do. And if they don't, maybe it's not really relevant yet. One of the things I want to show you is um, this is from the Center for Teaching at the university at Vanderbilt University. And it talks about the purpose of evaluation. So, and there's uh, very detailed stuff here that you can look at. Um, and I'm just going to pick out, what purposes do grades serve? Now, I'm not saying that grades serve any purpose other than comparing children to other children by their um, data manufacturer. But as an evaluation for our own understanding of what the child's able to do, and when we write our assessments down, it's no different than a teacher in a classroom looking at our child saying, this is what they can do, except that you're their parent and you know that child better than any teacher ever could. So, knowing how learning is happening by paying attention and observing what's going on and assessing, sitting beside them and asking them questions, saying, why do you like doing this? What are you building? What are you drawing? And if they're daydreaming, that's even better. When you see a child daydreaming and not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you can know that their brains are still developing, that they may be thinking things that nobody's ever thought before. And the only way we'll know that is if we allow them to daydream, if we allow them to have time to be bored. Boredom is the best gift. There's an article called The Art of Doing Nothing. If you put art in the comments, I will send you that article. So the next part that I want to go to is, I don't know if our children are not in the government school system, do you know how they report cards are right now? So if somebody asks you how your child's doing in school, I'm going to show this to you here. I'm going to share my screen. For me, though, that's important because it shows up that grade levels are not really that important. It's about the character and the emotional well-being and the natural love of learning that a child has. I think the bar for public education, as you know, is the lowest bar possible. If at all, it's as close to the bottom as it is to the top because it would be the median average. So, and who wants average for their kids? All right. So, how do you know your kids are doing stuff? You should all know the answers now by observation, by assessment. That means sitting beside, being involved. So, not just putting a curriculum under your kid's nose and expecting them to do it. Now, if you work from home, there are so many ways that you can accommodate this. First of all, children being self-directed means that they will spend time doing stuff. And if you're working, you can set those boundaries and time frames. If your teenager doesn't want to do anything, let them sleep in. Let if your kids are up really super early, that's when you can do stuff with them. And then let them go off and do whatever they want when you have to do work. I know one working mom gets all dressed up into her work attire, even though she's working from home. She puts on her work shoes, her nice dress shoes, because she's going into her office, which is in front of her computer in the living room. And her kids know that if she has her work shoes on, we don't bother her. We just go and play. If she has her slippers on, then we can talk to her, we can interrupt her, we can come and ask for questions or help or whatever. So there are a lot of ways and a lot of tricks that you can use to help your children understand time management and boundaries and well-being and learning to love learning at the same time and being accepted for learning what they love. Next week, we're going to talk about some specific careers that are not necessarily anything you would need uh, a university or post-secondary education for, that you can learn on your own or with others, depending on how you want to learn. And so today, I'm going to say thank you very much for being here with me. Good morning, good night, good afternoon, and hope to see you next week again.